Machiavellianism is a word that is not often heard today. Most people don't understand what the word means or have never even heard of before. According to the National Center of Biotechnology Information, Machiavellianism is a personality trait characterized by interpersonal manipulation and is accompanied by certain emotional and social abilities, such as deceit, cynicism, and lack of empathy, to name a few. The philosophy, made by Niccolò Machiavelli, was thought up in the late 15th century and was directed toward the political aspect of royalty. Machiavelli asserted that good rulers sometimes have to learn to be cunning and willing to eliminate their basic morals in order to maintain the stability of their commonwealth. Niccolò Machiavelli was an Italian diplomat born in 1469. Because his father was a lawyer, Niccolò was often exposed to many political circles and later entered the public service as a Florentine secretary where he met many political figures. These visits inspired him to write The Prince, based on examples he experienced by meeting so many people. Although Machiavelli himself did not directly practice the philosophy written in The Prince, he hoped that future generations could incorporate his ideas to become successful leaders. In our paper, we explored the ideas Machiavelli wrote and how they can be seen positively affecting political, corporate, and lifestyle settings in our modern society.
In today's political world, politicians are expected to rule with an iron fist, as well as use military force in order to achieve the things they need. This has been proven before by our founding fathers. We were in times of war and peril, and we were in deep need of someone to use military force in order to prevail. Machiavelli states in order to be a good politician, one must put all carnal desires aside in order to achieve what they need. Machiavelli states that in order to become a good politician, one must put all carnal desires aside because they cloud judgment and quickly cause imbalance. In essence, in order to become a strong political leader, one must look out for himself and portray the idea that they're actually out to help out society. The reason Machiavelli's philosophy still is in use today is due to the fact that this philosophy puts aside almost all moral and ethical values. People promoting politicians are often promised something in return, whether it be a raise, a job, or promises in the dark that are never accomplished. This is all done so to obtain a seat in office. Campaigning politicians go around different cities making promises to change the old ways and show they are an example of humanity. This is done to fool people. Machiavelli states that in order to achieve one's goals, one must be a true friend and a true enemy to the public. A politician is expected to give back to the people what he has promised them within his political career, because people are the key to a government's success due to their numerical superiority. Since every politician has a set goal as to which cities and states they should win over for a guaranteed vote, Machiavelli says one must take into account those communities, meet with them sometimes, in order for the community to see the individual and highly esteem him. He says politicians must not have great virtues. If you have them and exercise them, they hurt you, whereas if you only seem to have them, they can be useful. Their first priority should be to secure the freedom of its own citizens, and to achieve this, the state must use whatever means possible and available to do so. If it depends on one decision, there should be no attention paid to whether it is just or unjust. In doing this, there should be no possible flaws within one's political career. But Machiavelli encourages the idea that in order to flourish, one must act in bad faith, and must be a great liar and hypocrite as well.
Politics isn't the only place where Machiavellianism can be seen. In the business industry, having a high level of Machiavellianism can prove to be a benefit in many ways. Here's some examples where that can be seen.
The first example illustrates how people with high Machiavellian traits can maintain a good managerial position. As you can see, the employees at this office were not attentive to their duties. They were distracted by doing other things, but as soon as the manager showed up, they straightened themselves up and tried to get to work. The manager got a glance of the employees lying down at the job and will not tolerate it one bit. A high Machiavellian will not deal with any of this. Instead of giving out a warning, the manager goes straight into writing citations for the both of them. Giving each of the employees a citation will cause the employees to fear the manager. Not only will the employees fear the manager, but they will also respect him. This will then cause the employees to always be attentive at their job, especially when the manager is around. The employees will also prefer to please the manager as much as they can, and will try not to get in his way. You can be sure that these employees didn't slack off anymore. The second example shows how people with a high Machiavellian traits can prove to be productive sales representatives. Here you can see as the sales representative is trying to close out a deal with this potential customer. A sales representative with a Machiavellian trait will never take no for an answer. In a way, these individuals are able to manipulate their customers to make the sale. They will use any techniques, props, or even lies to win the customer over. Although this may be ethically incorrect, sales representatives with a Machiavellian trait have proven to produce more profit than those lacking the Machiavellian trait. As hesitant as this customer is, the Machiavellian sales representative was able to manipulate the customer and close out the sale. The third example illustrates how Machiavellianism affects communication in the business industry between an employee and their superiors. An employee with a high Machiavellian trait will only communicate with their superiors as a sort of test. Here, you can see that the employee is speaking with her superior about her work. The superior is exerting a positive reaction and praising the employee. The employee then feels safe to continue communicating with their superior. If an employee is satisfied by the communication between them and their superiors, they are more likely to stay on the job. As you can see here, the employee got right back to work because of the positive communication between her and her superior. The employee even denies to get distracted by her coworker and immediately gets back to work.
So in all, individuals with high Machiavellian traits are able to become good managers and also good sales representatives. Machiavellianism can also positively affect the business industry.
Finally, Machiavellianism can be seen positively affecting everyday behavior. In our modern society, it is common to see individuals trying to outdo each other or fight their way to the top. One technique that Machiavellian individuals use is manipulation. In order to have the upper hand of any situation, they must carefully plan out what they may say or do in order to have control and get what they want, regardless of basic human morals. Even Machiavelli himself stated that it is better to be impetuous than cautious, and compared this control to a woman that, in order to hold her down, one must beat her and strike her down. Similarly, a Machiavellian today advances by dominating any situation that they are exposed to. An example of a Machiavellian individual can even be seen in the classroom. Because they yearn to dominate, they must first set out to be superior than their peers, such as this student who seems to have submitted an average paper. In order to achieve the most control and influence, a Machiavellian individual must first accept their situation and devise a goal to accomplish it. A book written by M.A. Ledeen stated that in order to achieve victory, one must act vigorously to dominate. However, Machiavelli warned that those who practice his philosophy should not associate with those who have more power, for fear that they will advance or have more control of the situation or can hinder the Machiavellist's objective. In this example, the Machiavellian individual has successfully accomplished their goal in getting praised, which reinforces the theory that they are strategic, planful individuals who are highly goal-oriented. Even though a Machiavellian individual may not be liked by someone they are not directly trying to influence, as long as they have succeeded in having a relationship with the person that they are trying to control, in this case it would be the teacher, then they have successfully completed their objective and set a new course for another advancement in their life. Next example shows a tormentor attempting to intimidate an individual with Machiavellian characteristics. Because these people generally think with logic and are able to skillfully manipulate situations, they have the ability to control the outcome of their circumstance because they have focused on an obtainable goal. Although a study by Laon Marcy showed that some youths displayed some delinquent behavior, It was only because of Machiavellianism was influenced by other factors, such as narcissism and psychopathy. Other than that, those who exhibit Machiavellian characteristics early on are more likely to seek praise from their peers and teachers and are likely to succeed in their education and personal objectives.
To sum everything up, Machiavellianism does positively reflect an individual's personal advancement. It has been around for generations and has been used by many prominent figures in history, such as Caesar Borgia, whom Machiavelli uses as an example in The Prince. Machiavellianism can be seen throughout the world in modern society's governments. Politicians who incorporate Machiavelli's philosophy have set an objective to have control over their followers, even if it means using unconventional tactics. The same can be seen in business, as many managers and employees today use Machiavellianism to manipulate situations to complete their objectives. Lastly, Machiavellianism occurs in everyday settings and includes parts of Machiavelli's philosophy that help a person concentrate on their personal goals. Children who show Machiavellian traits can potentially be the future political or corporate leaders of tomorrow.